I have patiently sustained and will continue to sustain the tribulation that touched me, and will put my whole trust and confidence in God. Him will I supplicate, saying, Guide thy servants, O my Lord, unto the court of thy favor and bounty, and suffer them not to be deprived of the wonders of thy grace and of thy manifold blessings. For they know not what thou hast ordained for them by virtue of thy mercy that encompasseth the whole of creation. Outwardly, O Lord, they are weak and helpless. Inwardly, they are but orphans. Thou art the all-bountiful, the munificent, the most exalted, the most great. And now we are going to listen to the story of Sean Hinton. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
In 1987, I was a 21-year-old university student with a long beard and long hair studying music in London. I had grown up in Australia, gone to London to study, and was living there at the time. A very dear friend of mine and I decided that we wanted to go on pilgrimage to Haifa. However, we had the idea of following the route Baha'u'llah took from Istanbul to Haifa and visiting all the places where he had been. But like all good friends, on the boat, we got into a discussion about how the 10-year crusade could possibly have taken place with such a nascent community. Bringing the faith to every part of the world and to every country, this was an extraordinary call from the beloved guardian. Were there still countries that had not been opened? One of us said yes, the other said no. One evening at dinner in Haifa with Mr. Ian Semple, we asked him to tell us who was right. With a twinkle in his eye, Mr. Semple looked at me and said, Mongolia and Sakhalin Islands. And you know, Sean, you should go to Mongolia and study their music. Of course, everyone laughed. What a joke. Someone said, Sean even has trouble catching the bus home in London. Impossible. But the seed was planted. I sat there thinking, how could that happen? And how would I get there? It kept buzzing around in my head. As I was leaving Haifa to return to London, one of the youth serving there gave me a small crumpled piece of paper with a detailed list of instructions on how to get to Mongolia. I wondered what it would be like to go to Mongolia, what I might do there. When I got back to London, I started looking for any information about Mongolia I could find. I looked up the Mongolian embassy and called them. No one answered. I tried again, no answer, and each time I kept trying, no one picked up. Eventually, I really gave up. I completely forgot about it. It was my final year of university, and I was focusing on my exams. About 6 months later, I was sitting at my desk when I came across this very crumpled red piece of paper with the Mongolian embassy phone number on it. I thought, oh yeah, I'll give it another try. So I dialed the number, and of course someone answered and asked who I was. I had no idea what to say, and the only thing that came to my mind was what Mr. Semple had said, you can go to Mongolia and study music. So I said that I wanted to go to Mongolia to study music. Do you offer scholarships? He politely replied, I'm sorry, we're just the embassy. We don't offer scholarships. But you know there's a British council that offers scholarships, so you might want to contact them. So I looked up the number for the British council and somehow managed to reach the Mongolian department. The man said, wow, we have a scholarship available and it closes on Wednesday. That's very interesting. We get a lot of people applying for scholarships, but usually it's for political studies or something along those lines. Your request is very unusual. Let's see what we can do. You need to have a degree. This scholarship would be for a doctoral program, so you need a degree for that scholarship. Over the 4 days before Wednesday, there were a lot of prayers. Shortly afterward, I received the electrifying news that I had been awarded the scholarship. My heart nearly leapt out of my chest as I realized that all the possibilities I had only dared to imagine were now about to become real. The next day, I went to a library and found a book about Mongolia and looked up Mongolian music. I discovered it was beautiful, the most beautiful music I had ever heard. I also found a record of Mongolian music. I noticed on it a name that I recognized, but I didn't know from where. I kept thinking about it, and finally I called my parents in Australia and asked them, "Who is this Jane Jenkins?" She said, "You know, when you were 2 years old, we used to rent a basement flat from Jean Jenkins, and she loved Mongolian music. She used to show you the instruments and play the music for you. It was just amazing." As Baha'is, we're encouraged to be confident that in everything we do, especially when we try to serve the faith, we have divine assistance. But I can tell you honestly, I was very worried, and that was my problem. A few months later, it so happened that the time for my pilgrimage had arrived, right before I left for Mongolia. While I was in Haifa, I was invited for tea with Amatul Baha in the Master's house. It was a wonderful afternoon, and 2 others with us were both Knights of Baha'u'llah. She greeted them with the warmest salutations. "You're here because you opened. And you're here because you opened." Then she came to me and said, "You're here because you are going to do what we hope you will do. You'd better go, young man." I returned to England and took a train through Europe, passing through Berlin to Moscow and on to Mongolia. On December 28, 1988, I arrived in Mongolia by train. And that's how I got there. And that's how I became the first Baha'i to go to Mongolia. Sean Hinton was named a Knight of Baha'u'llah, and his name was the last one inscribed in the Roll of Honor placed at the Shrine of Baha'u'llah. Later in 1989, the first Mongolian, Mrs. Oyendelgar, joined the faith.